The past couple weeks have been an absolute blowout for Rocket Lab investors. We've had earnings, interviews, and a whole lot more. In this video, let's take a look at everything that was announced and everything that is to come. My name is Scott. Welcome to the channel. Let's talk Rocket Lab. So starting with Q1 revenue, launch services revenue saw $32.7 million compared to guidance for $32 to $33 million. Space systems, $60 million compared to $60 to $65 million, with total revenue of $92.8 million compared to guidance for $92 to $98. This resulted in a revenue growth of 55% quarter over quarter and 69% year over year.
Nice.
Looking ahead to the second quarter, Rocket Lab is guiding for launch services revenue of $28 to $29 million for 4 launches, with a potential 5th launch, which will bring us closer to the range of $35 to $37 million. For space systems, guidance is for $77 to $81 million, with total revenue being between $105 to $110 million, or $112 to $118 if a 5th launch in the quarter comes to fruition. Assuming Rocket Lab meets guidance like they did in Q1, we can expect revenue growth of 16% quarter over quarter and 73% year over year. Next, let's look even further ahead. As of March 31st, backlog totaled north of $1 billion, of which approximately 42% is expected to be recognized within 12 months. So 42% of the $1 billion arrives us at $426.3 million. Considering Q2 guidance alongside what we can expect for the forward 12 months, this arrives us at relatively stagnant growth for the subsequent 3 quarters. That is, of course, unless there is a reaction wheel-shaped top-up to space systems revenue. Following the Q1 call, Peter Beck and Adam Spice sat down with Matt, Vince, and Dave G. During these interviews, there was a mention of north of 2,000 reaction wheels to be consumed by one customer this year. The particular reaction wheels that this customer is using are the 12 NMS wheels. And according to Rocket Lab's website, each of these wheels sells for $100,000 to $120,000 per unit. So if we take the 2,000 reaction wheels expected for this customer and multiply that by the $100,000 that Rocket Lab is asking for, this lands us at $200 million for this year for this one customer alone. Past that, we also know that the majority of the MDA contract of $143 million is expected to be recognized within this year. So we have a good idea of what to expect for backlog throughout 2024, and we also have a good idea of what to expect for launch services revenue for 2024. So taking the backlog recognition, then subtracting the launch revenue, we can arrive at roughly $250 million for space systems revenue for 2024. Now that we have this, we can subtract the MDA recognition, which is expected to be around 3/4 of the total contract value, so $107 million, leaving us with $143 million for not just the reaction wheel customer, but the remainder of Rocket Lab's customers. So with this, it seems that there are 3 possible alternatives. The first is that the reaction wheels are being sold to the customer for far less than what is being advertised on Rocket Lab's website. The second is that the reaction wheels are not part of an enforceable agreement, similar to what we saw with the recent solar announcement where 20% of the contract value was going into backlog. The third option is that the reaction wheels aren't in the backlog at all and are yet to be announced. So as far as which of these options is the actual, I'm leaning more towards a mix of the first and second option, where the customer does have a steep discount and they're also adding these reaction wheels to the backlog over time. Let's move into launch. So it looks like we'll be seeing a reduction to Electron's 2024 launch manifest of 22 launches, and while nothing explicit was stated, it seems like we can expect something in the range of 18 to 20 launches for the full year. Past that, it seems like the 2025 booster reuse mission might be getting bumped back into 2024, yet there was no mention of the recovery mission that is planned prior to that, which would be reusing the 9 previously flown Rutherford engines. Now there's a lot to say regarding Electron recovery. Recently I was on Dave G's channel and we did a deep dive on this very subject. I'll post a link to the video in the description below, but in a nutshell, Electron recovery is notably cost effective, and not only that, but the payback period for Rocket Lab to buy their own recovery vessel is surprisingly small. So Peter, Adam, I think it's time we buy a boat. Let's move into Neutron. It's finally happened. We've been delayed into mid-2025. And when I hear mid-2025, I'm assuming the second half of 2025. And with that, we need to take a closer look at the runway that Rocket Lab has, and if they're able to bridge that gap to profitability, or if we might see another capital raise. On February 7th, Rocket Lab closed a convertible offering of $355 million. Of this, $43 million went towards capped call costs, and $11 million went towards payment of debt issuance costs. This leaves us with $300.6 million in net proceeds, of which $43.2 million went towards repayments on the Trinity loan agreement, aka their debt. Including cash and equivalents, securities, and restricted cash, Rocket Lab has a liquidity value of $564 million as of March 31st. With a liquidity burn rate of roughly $65 million per quarter, this gives Rocket Lab a liquidity runway out to mid-2026. So there's plenty more to go over, but we're going to leave it there for now. So stay tuned, leave a comment, and be sure to check out the Patreon to view and download the valuation models that I reference to make these videos here for you, including price targets that go all the way out to 2030. Important to note as well that the pricing for the Patreon is set to increase on July 1st, so be sure to lock in the early bird pricing. The funding for the Patreon is intended to go towards this channel becoming a more full-time endeavor, so whether you're interested in the models or you just want to support the channel, consider the Patreon as it is the price of a cup of coffee. Thank you guys for the hangout. Hope you got value from the video, and I look forward to seeing you in the next one. Have an awesome day.